Health, home, and lifestyle. Presented by Paradise Fitness Center, changing lives since 1996.
Yes, my friends, we are back. I'm still Jason Salas, and thank you so much for watching us on KUAM TV or streaming us on YouTube. We do appreciate your visual patronage. Well, visual leads to audible. And I've got my good friend Jen Ross right now. She is with Ross Hearing Aids, just a few feet from us over here in Harmon. And we are going to talk about the art of hearing and making sure that people can hear. Hi, Jen.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. And yourself?
Thank you, I'm fine. Thanks,
All right.
Thanks for having me.
I've got a question. Forgive my ignorance when it comes to, that particular type of technology, but when I hear the word hearing aids, even though for the last 19 so years I've been wearing, an earpiece to make sure I hear the guys in the back, hearing aids, most people assume, naively so, they are only for the elderly or people with severe hearing problems, hearing loss and everything like that. Is that fairly accurate?
Well, what you're wearing is an ear monitor, not a hearing aid. It's a misconception to say that hearing aids would be for the elderly. Hearing aids are for the hearing impaired, not for people with normal hearing, but hearing impairment, it affects people of all ages. It does not discriminate on age. Although the most common cause of it is aging. It's not, it doesn't just limit itself to that. So,
okay, and your company, Ross Hearing Aids, you guys specialize in, is it about the diagnosis of and then the design of hearing aids?
We do the testing to determine if a hearing aid fitting is called for or suitable, or to be considered, I should say, as a starting point. And then we work with the ENTs to clear any medical issues that may arise during the evaluation that we do. And then we fit hearing aids. But we also do custom communication devices like your ear monitor or earplugs for people who want to protect their hearing from going from this point on, so they don't cause any damage to their hearing.
So the garden variety, for lack of a better term, these are like little amplifiers, little speakers, if you will, that just get fitted. Do they broadcast directly to the eardrum?
Well,
how they work?
They're fitted either behind or in the ear, and some are made from a custom mold of your ear canal. They're specifically they're frequency specific. So depending on the person's hearing loss and configuration at what frequencies they might have impairment in hearing, that it's frequency specific as far as amplifying that, as opposed to analog hearing aids, which would just do broadband amplification at all levels at all different frequencies, making everything louder. And so we can be more specific with it. So.
Okay. And you've been in this work for a very long time. I remember your office was really across the street from us, and now you're a next-door neighbor.
I was over there for 17 years, and now we've been here for quite a few, almost 5 or 6 already.
So tell me, Jen, about the technology of the devices that you work with, because I remember my grandfather, he still wears a hearing aid, and it's this big thing. You can see it, a mile away, and you can tell someone, is hard of hearing and everything. These days, it's more cosmetic, it's even transparent to a certain degree. Right?
There's 2 things that have changed. One is the size. They've definitely gotten smaller, and smaller is better when it comes to this sort of thing, just mainly for stigma reasons. But the technology's gotten really fun. They've added Bluetooth to hearing aids, which allows you to do things with hearing that even normal hearing people can't do. So for instance, with a hearing aid now, let's say I had hearing aids in both ears and I picked up a regular landline telephone, I can now hear that conversation in both ears, even though the phone is only situated on one.
So you get the stereo effect.
Yes, exactly. And the only other way you could do that would be to put it on speaker, but then you lose all confidentiality on a phone call, right? So everyone can hear the conversation. But now you can put a landline up here and hear it in both ears, which really it improves audibility quite a bit.
Okay, if people are concerned about they've got hearing problems, or they say, I think, and that's kind of the operative word, that my hearing quality is kind of like degraded as the years have gone on. They can come in and see you, but what would be the protocol or the test?
Well, give us a call, make an appointment, and it's a complimentary consultation to begin with, so I can encourage everybody to come down just to at least find out if their hearing is within a normal range. The test basically, it's what most people have already done at some point in their life. Raise your hand when you hear the beep, or push the button when you hear the beep.
You're in that cute little box.
In the sound booth, yeah. That's the basic gist of it. We go further. We test different parts of hearing. We test sound coming in through the outer ear as it normally does in the environment. We also test how you hear when sound is directly over your cochlea, which is your hearing nerve, bypassing your middle ear. And then we do speech testing to see how well you're discriminating certain sounds in speech. And that gives us a general idea of your overall hearing, and from there we can recommend a hearing aid if it's
If
needed.
one
Yeah, if it's needed. So.
In terms of cost, though, like people may be thinking, okay, well, if I have to strain to hear, my grandchild running around a little bit and everything like that, am I going to be hit with, a $700,000 bill so I can have like this?
No, only 600,000. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. In that case,
No, I mean it's not a joke. They're
let me reach into
expensive.
my wallet.
But listen, the good news on this is that the insurance companies are really getting on board. They're realizing the importance for somebody's overall well-being and health includes being able to hear well. And for the longest time, hearing aids, hearing testing has always been not an included benefit in hearing plans. And it's still not in most commercial plans, but a lot of the government plans, federal and GovGuam, do include it. And the others are getting on board slowly, which I'm very happy to see, because it is a part of your overall well-being.
That is good news.
It's an invisible disability for those who have it. If somebody has a hearing loss, you can't tell just by looking at them. You often can't even tell just by listening to them talk. If they haven't had a loss for most of their life or when their speech was developing, you still won't know.
That's a very good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and so when the hearing loss becomes apparent because that person seems like they're not listening, or maybe they're just not very smart. They keep getting things wrong. Or, gee, they're awfully aggressive because they talk really loud, which is another sign of people who have hearing loss. And there's all these other things that show up, but you don't necessarily say, hey, that person might have trouble hearing. You draw incorrect conclusions usually. They're aggressive, or they're not really paying attention, or not interested, or another number of other misconceptions.
Okay, well, last question as we wrap up now. Let's get back to the core of the issue and everything like that. What contributing factors typically, and do you see specifically on Guam, tend to lead to someone having hearing loss or a degradation of the hearing function?
Yeah. Well, aging is the number one reason. As we get older, we do lose some sensitivity in our hearing nerve. Not the hearing nerve, but the cochlea, all the hair cells in the cochlea, they tend to degenerate. So then the next would be noise induced. And nowadays, there's a lot more in-ear applications for music, for tuning others out and tuning into the other thing that you're interested in. And that it can lead to problems with your hearing. So those are probably the two main ones there to be concerned about. And you can very much prevent the noise-induced factor.
But then again, you're always right next door to us here at the Calvo's Commercial Center in Harmon. So people, go and check out my friend Jen. She's the nicest person you are ever going to meet. We do appreciate the information. Please come back anytime.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and thank you. But hey, stay tuned, because we are not going anywhere, and we got some stuff for you to hear when we come back right after this.